Thanks for.
Ready? Play.
Hey guys, so this is gonna be the watch along for Andrey Rublev against Matteo Arnaldi at Vienna, the second round, first match that we have on the Vienna slate for today. There's actually 6 singles. I think there's also gonna be a stream from Dimitrov Medvedev from what I saw. And so stay tuned for that as well after Rublev Arnaldi. It's basically gonna be like 15 minutes of break between the two, unless Arnaldi and Rublev are very quick, because Medvedev Dimitrov, they are signed up for not before 2 p.m. local time. Right now it's basically noon local time, so a bit of a delay here with Rublev Arnaldi, which didn't really have to happen. I don't know what was the point, but that's tennis for you. We never start at the hour that we are expected to start, even if it's the first match, apparently, even if it's indoors and there's no weather delays. But anyway, yeah, there are 6 matches in Vienna today, all of them second round, of course. So tomorrow we're getting to the quarters, 5 on the center court, and there's just one that's been relegated to the second arena, the hashtag Glaubandisch court. I don't know why it's hashtag, but that's where it says. I'm just reading it out. And that one, of course, is Bornegoyo against Tommy Paul. So quite actually, quite an important match, actually relegated in terms of the race to Turin standings. But I do have to say that it is one of the worst ones today, because there's going to be a lot more excitement coming up in Vienna. Medvedev Dimitrov, as I said, there's going to be a stream for that. Tsitsipas Mahac, very very interesting to me. Third match here. Mahac with a real chance to upset the Greek, probably score his first top 10 win. We'll see. Sonego Sinner, probably less interesting, as everyone is just expecting Sinner to win. And honestly, after doing Sinner and Shelton yesterday with Vanch, I also don't really see another option. He was just so clean. He really made you believe that he's gonna win, unless there's someone really good out there with a peak performance on the day to stop him. And Tiafoe on fees to end the day as well. That should be quite exciting, right? And Basel as well today, of course. There's plenty of stuff there too. I think also 6 second rounds. They schedule things a little bit differently. There's no much sort of equivalent to the time that Arnaldi and Rublev are starting. So you have only 4 center court matches and 2 on the IWB court number 1. Probably a bit less interesting in general, because, like, I don't know, Botic van de Zandschulp or Yassim, I'm not watching that. That sounds really boring to me. Rune Baez, it really depends on Rune. But these 2 first matches in Basel, I think I'm also going to try to catch. Fritz Shevchenko and Striker Ruud, both underdogs with seemingly a really good chance to pull off the upset. That's how it would appear. Rublev Arnaldi, let's talk about that. I believe this is their first matchup. I actually didn't check that, but I think I must have checked that yesterday. Yeah, it's their first matchup. Of course, Rublev the favorite, the world number 5, Arnaldi at 46, sort of just this year showing up on the main tour. I mean, he still started the year outside the top 100, was part of the next gen finals lineup last year. Played great despite not getting out of the group stage. That 5-setter between him and Passaro, both actually didn't get out of the group stage, but both were pretty ridiculous there. And this year he won 3 challenger titles, I believe, advanced to the top 100, and is doing extremely well in there. Looks like he, out of the all of the challenger young Italians that we got in like 2021 2022, he's one that has made the most progress. He's one that will actually stick around to the main tour. And yeah, let's see how he handles a player like Rublev. Seems like his first serve should be really helpful here. It's definitely quite underrated, and all of the additional power that he has in his game now, if he is going to beat Rublev, he needs to be confident, use that well, and we shall see. Not a great start, maybe, with him losing the first few points on the Rublev serve, and now committing a +1 forehand unforced error on the first point of his service game. But we shall see. Rublev, as usual, you kind of expect a very high standard from him in every match. He rarely has a day off. He rarely drops his base level. Then again, if the opponent is speaking, he might sort of lack the variety to respond, to change some things up. So we'll see. So far, again, not a great start from Arnaldi, hitting a double fault here to go low 30. But yeah, hoping for this one to be a pretty exciting match. It really can, but if Rublev wins this fairly comfortably, that's also a very possible option. It's more of a test for Arnaldi for sure. Rublev, you kind of know what's gonna happen, what he's gonna bring to the court, and yeah, so far this is a very slow beginning of the match from the young Italian. Rublev was, of course, in the Shanghai final a couple of weeks ago, losing to Hurkacz, had a match point in the tiebreak, but I think Hurkacz aced him on that one. So was very close to getting his second ATP 1000, which was coincidentally what Hubert Hurkacz got. It's quite interesting too that Hubert Hurkacz has more ATP 1000 titles than Andrey Rublev. But then again, it maybe kind of fits the idea of Andrei Rublev as a very consistent player who's sort of capable of getting there when the draw opens up. But then again, he has a Vienna title in the past. He did skip Tokyo or like the whole week actually after Shanghai, so he should be really well rested. And from what I saw, he started pretty well in Vienna against Popyrin. Now the question becomes whether Arnaldi can save these three breakpoints. Two of them he's already saved so far, pretty short points, unreturned serve, and then like a forehand, no, maybe a forced error from Rublev on the first one. That's good for Arnaldi. That's a let because that serve probably wasn't placed too well. He gets into a pretty advantageous position after the serve and is able to pull Rublev enough, wide enough to his backhand corner for the Russian not to make the pass. So he is actually back to deuce Arnaldi. And it also wasn't that much of a hustle. Like he only really had to hit like a couple of semi-decent forehands and of course the serves to get back there. And that's a great serve down the tee, so he will have a chance to um, get us back to even terms after just two games, of course. But given that he was low 40 down in this game, it would be an achievement of sorts. I'm gonna check in a second how many times Arnaldi played with against top 10 players. I actually don't know if he has any. Well, I would assume that he does not have wins. But has he even played top 10 opponents many occasions? Oh, actually, he has one, of course, against Casper Ruud in Madrid, right? That was the match where his forehand was like ridiculous. And yeah, he was just basically blasting Ruud off the court with it. Maybe sort of similar to what Arthur Fields did to Ruud this year against Ruud, of course, in Hamburg. Yeah, I started thinking about this question in the chat. Who's winning this tournament? Am I wrong to get carried away with one win for Felix? I believe that the winner of the Minor versus Hurka. Oh no, that's actually Basel. So, are you asking about Basel or Vienna? Because Felix is in Basel. When it comes to Basel, so where Felix is, would be going for the winner of Hurkacz or the Minor in the quarters. If that's what we get, if Alex de Minor beats Talon Greeksport today, then I think the winner of Hurkacz de Minor becomes a massive well, massive is a stretch, but the favorite to take the title. When it comes to Vienna, though, I still think Medvedev is probably the most likely winner. He is the defending champ. He also should be well rested after the Asian swing. Usually one of his favorite parts of the season. Of course, back in what was it, 2020, he had a ridiculous win streak to end the year. So yeah, I would say that Medvedev is probably the most likely winner of all of these. Other contenders, yeah, at the 500 level, you gotta think of Rublev. I don't think Tsitsipas is a big time contender to win the whole thing. I think if Medvedev beats Dimitrov today, his half also opens up. Zverev is definitely up there. Zverev, if he plays Rublev, I would probably favor Zverev. It's been a good matchup for him historically. And Sinner, obviously, is also a contender. So maybe another Zverev Sinner in the semis. That would be pretty fun. And on the other half, then Medvedev against like Mahach or something. That's what I would assume could happen. And yeah, I would still say that Daniel is the favorite for Vienna, whereas for Basel, probably the winner of Hurkacz against the Minor if we get that quarterfinal. Anyway, Arnaldi has to save another breakpoint. This time it's on second serve as well, so we'll see how he handles that. Oh, I thought that maybe he won the point with this very deep forehand, but the ball somehow comes back from Rublev. Andrey is really making him work for that. There's a forehand drop shot from Arnaldi. Wow, that's ridiculous. They actually, it strikes me now that they actually hit their open stance forehand counters very similarly. Like the pattern of movement is exactly the same. But anyway, Arnaldi played that forehand dropper. Rublev chased it down. It seemed like he was in control of the point, but then Arnaldi slides into it, and that's part of the comparison that I made because both of them hit like two of these in this rally, and it's like a laser shot from Arnaldi. I don't think he even needed to be so powerful with it, but it ends up being a beautiful shot and a very important one since it saves him the break point, and then he gets a free point on serve to get another opportunity to close out the game. Yeah, speaking of that top 10 record of Arnaldi that I mentioned, yeah, basically what I said, he beat Ruud in Madrid, and he also lost to, of course, Alcaraz at the US Open, Medvedev at Canada, and Medvedev at Dubai. So basically, the one against Ruud is the only top 10 match where he got a set before, but it's only been a few performances, so it's nothing really. Now the forehand dropper from Arnaldi is much better. He actually even says sorry to Rublev, but I don't know if there was anything to be sorry about. Maybe on the replay we're gonna see it. Yeah, I don't think there was. Just it was just perfect, honestly. Yeah, middle of the racket, bounces, lots of side spin, short. I don't know. He said sorry, but anyway, it's 1-all. Maybe it was like you had 4 breakpoints, so I'm sort of sorry for taking this game. I don't know if that's actually the case. If any players do that in darts, this happens quite a lot when like the other player doesn't take like 8 darts to win the leg, and then you win, and you're like sorry. But it's also BS. Like I don't know why players do that, but for some reason they feel some guilt and remorse. Here, I'm not sure what Arnaldi meant, but anyway, a great game from him given that he was love 40 down, had to save 4 breakpoints, and really delivered when it mattered, especially that fourth one drop shot pass combo on the slide forehand, and now this dropper to end the game was pretty majestic as well. Huge backhand cross from Arnaldi puts him in great position to win the point, but he just misses the finishing blow with the forehand into that corner that Rublev was running from. Would have been a winner for sure if it lands in, but he just misses it. So it's 30 love for Andrey. And 40 love. I think against Popyrin in the opening round, Rublev had like a 4-2 lead and a break point. Then it got tricky, but eventually, of course, he won in two. This is probably the most likely outcome of this match where like it's pretty tricky, but then Rublev still wins. But who knows? Arnaldi not putting the return in play again, this time of a second serve from Rublev. So we are going to be at 2-1 on this changeover. So yeah, this is as I said, the fifth top 10 match for Arnaldi. The one win against Ruud in Madrid. Beautiful performance. Also has another top 20 win at the US Open this year against Cam Norrie. And that's really the extent of it so far. Making a quarter final here would be pretty massive for him. especially getting a win like that. So far at the ATP level, he actually has just one quarterfinal, and it was the ATP 215 Umag, where he actually beat Lehechka. So he got to the semis, but this would be his biggest this would be his biggest quarterfinal so far. Yeah, Basels and Vienna's. I was also confused for a moment, but Vienna is significantly stronger for sure, especially as you can sort of point it out based on the race ranking, right? I mean, the players ranked between 3 and 7 are in Vienna, and the players ranked between 8 and 11 are in Basel, and then 12 and 13 are split between Vienna and Basel. Of course, this would have been a little different if Alcaraz played Basel, which I think the tournament in Switzerland is definitely not too pleased about. I mean, they wanted to pay a lot of money for Alcaraz to be there, of course. That's not his fault that he wasn't able to. It does make his situation in the race, in the sort of race to number one, a lot more complicated. He's gonna have to outperform Djokovic by like 500 points in Paris at the ATP finals if he wants to get it. But I also think it's it doesn't really matter all that much. Like, it's the main goal for this year because what else are you gonna chase? But also for Alcaraz, it could be a big goal to just perform well at the ATP finals, because that's an event that he has not competed in yet, given that he was injured in 2022. Someone else who has not competed in the ATP finals yet is Holger Rune. And he might not even get there this year, after, just like in 2023. Just like in 2022. The O was because of this forehand cross court winner from Arnaldi, just ridiculous acceleration, injected the pace out of nowhere, and well, I guess it's a matter of this Lupier forehand from Rublev, but really nice two-shot combo there from Arnaldi with this first this again this counter on the slice, very similar to how Rublev does it on the slide, very similar to how Rublev does it, and then just smashing this cross-court forehand. Well, I'm liking how he's playing so far, even though obviously Rublev had the easier holds, and you could argue that he's been like the more reliable, definitely the more steady player so far. And you're right, but I'm sort of looking at this from the perspective of the underdog, the younger player, since well that's who needs to make it competitive. Like Rublev, as I said, you sort of know what you're gonna get from him. But yeah, the ATP race, Rublev, I think, is actually playing in order to qualify today. Like, I think Rublev qualifies with a win today, which isn't a big storyline because he's so obviously getting there. So it doesn't really matter all that much. He has such a huge lead over Tsitsipas, Zverev, and the players fighting for the eighth spot that I don't really think it's a huge storyline here. Oh, hello, Jeffro. Anyone fancy an Arnaldi upset? Maybe. I like the Mahach upset today. I think Arnaldi was definitely underrated by a ton when it comes to like the odds and etc. It's possible. I think Rublev is at the same time a very tough player to upset. He has such a solid base level he brings in every single day. But at the same time, if you're like truly peaking, if you come out firing, he might lack the ability to stop you. He might lack the ability to mix things up. So I think that kind of works both ways. Occasional contributor. How do you like the best between Rune, Rublev? I mean, depends what we're talking about. I mean, Rune definitely seems like the best prospect long term. Rublev, he should probably stay at this top 10-ish level for a decade or so as well. Like Rublev is probably just as solidly sort of stuck inside the top 10 as, I don't know, a Berdik was or something like that. And yeah, Rublev, I just don't really see that much potential to go forward with what he has. I know he's won an ATP 1000 this year, but it did feel like a bit of a, you know, weaker moment for most players. I guess, Alcaraz wasn't there. Djokovic lost to Musetti. So you basically had an opportunity. He played Rune in the final and, well, had Rune after that long match in the semis, and Rune was basically spent physically for the most of the match. Probably still wins it if he makes, these smashes at like 4, was it 4-2, 5-2? I can't remember, in the third. So I don't really think there's much potential for Rublev to sort of improve from here, but he is what he is, and he is making the ATP finals for the fourth straight time, which is a ridiculous feat, obviously. And Ruud probably also has maxed out what he has. I mean, more so than Rublev, right? I mean, getting to 3 Grand Slam finals, that's just uh, incredible, really, with what Ruud has, I think. So I wouldn't really be shocked if, like, Ruud has a season pretty soon where he's not in the top 10, if he's maybe, I don't know, at number 15 or number 20 or something. If you take out the Ron Garros final from his ranking, he would be at 14, 15 right now. And I feel like that's a more accurate description of where he is. Actually, if you take out the Ron Garros final from his race ranking, he would be around 20th. I think maybe that's a little too low. After all, he did make that Ron Garros final, even if it didn't contain any, very memorable, very impressive wins. So yeah, I would basically say that Rune is definitely the most exciting player in terms of long term prospects. In terms of where they are right now, well, after all, he's only won 2 matches since Wimbledon, right? But yeah, I think he will sort these issues out eventually. Maybe the off season is going to help him. Maybe he's already there. I mean, against Kecmanovic, he basically turned it on in the middle of set 2 and won the rest of the match with ridiculous forehands. So if he can continue that against Baez today, that would be great for him. And of course, the main goal for Rune right now has to be trying to make the ATP finals, which he didn't end up playing last year. He was the first alternate, and no one was injured. No one got injured during the event. So, um, yeah, that's basically it. Rune to me belongs with Sinner and Alcaraz, absolutely, as like the main three players of the next generation for now, at least. We'll see who sort of joins them next, with probably Arthur Fils looking like the main contender at the moment. Oh, and Shelton, of course. I forgot about Shelton. Anyway, Arnaldi double faults, but it's still 30-15. 22 minutes of play already on this Vienna afternoon. Yeah, so far, I mean, Arnaldi's forehand is like more fiery, more explosive than Rublev's in these rallies. He's also less, well, at least should be less consistent. But honestly, in the last few games, we've seen a fair few Rublev slip ups when the timing isn't quite there. Like on this previous forehand here, Arnaldi just plays it pretty deep and flat, and Rublev cannot get it redirected down the line. That's a sick return from the Russian, though. It seemed like Arnaldi's kick serve is good enough, but yeah, he just smacks it down the line. No reaction from Arnaldi because there was nothing to react to. Still has one more game point. We'll be hoping to land the first serve. And it seems like he has puts away the smash without any doubt there. So we are at 3-all. Bias is winning today, lads, says Jeffro. Yeah, possible. Um, I uh, I think that definitely I'm not very certain that Rune's forehand brilliance of the last two sets, well, last set and a half against Kecmanovic is going to last, just based on what we saw recently. But I think even Jeffro will agree that if Rune is like playing well, there's not that much that Bias should be able to do on the Basel courts. But it was a good win against O'Connell for him. Um, Liked Arnaldi a lot at the next gen finals last year, says Jeffro. Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned that a bit earlier that like his match against Passaro last year, even though they both didn't get out of groups, that was something else. And like, especially given that they weren't that good on indoor hard courts back then, seemingly. But Arnaldi has that beautiful first serve that really elevated his game to a different level on other surfaces than clay. Obviously, now has a lot of firepower on the forehand as well. So yeah, it's kind of striking as well to think like where Passaro is right now and where Arnaldi is right now, right? And that maybe even just adds sort of more credibility to Arnaldi's rise. Strange from Koch retiring without seeing a physio or trainer. Yeah, I did rewatch that earlier today. Kokinakis against Wong. That's what Keen is talking about in Playford. Didn't seem like there was anything, very awful going on with Tanasi, but at the same time he was really off. Like 75% of returns they were in the fence basically. Was he ill? It's something we can't really know, but I would give him the benefit of the doubt. He was definitely so erratic and like couldn't even keep the ball in play. But at the same time, on his serve, in set one, he was doing really well. It was just the tiebreak that his game suddenly breaks down. Wong also cracks a couple of forehands, and then the break, and it seems like Tanasi kind of gave up after that. Maybe he was unwell and didn't really feel fit to play. Great, still a great showing from Wong. Really balls to the wall aggression style, and when it works, it's great. When it doesn't, he almost got double bageled in the Shenzhen final last week. Rublev has to save a breakpoint after a couple of sloppy +1 errors, but he does save it with a good serve out wide. Runa will have the most ups and downs, said John, at least for the next couple of years. But if there is one of the three that doesn't win it. Ooh. Ooh. One of the three that doesn't win a slam / reach number one. I mean, there's no way Casper Ruud wins a slam. I'm sorry. But if we're talking of Runa and Rublev, yeah, sure. Ah, you thought it was Sinner. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, then I would say Rublev there too, of course. Yeah, for sure. Sorry for my dislike of coffee and beer. Um, Shelton over Arthur Fields, definitely. Yeah, Keen. I just forgot about Shelton at first. Shelton is, of course, also 2 years older than Fields. So I think it's actually fairly close between them. But yeah, Shelton should be the one joining these players earlier than Fields. Yeah. I see Carlos has said he's ready to go for Paris B and Turin. Can he still make number one? Basically, in the ATP race, it's now exactly 500 points. And if you're asking me, it's going to be pretty hard to overperform Djokovic by 500 points. Then again, the ATP finals is probably one of the events where you can do that most comfortably because, well, winning the final over someone is gonna give you 500 points, right? For example, Djokovic, Alcaraz meet in the final. Let's say they both fall in the Paris semis, and then they both win their groups, they both win their semis, and then Alcaraz beats Djokovic in the ATP finals final. Haha, best phrase in the world. So in that case, I think it would still be Djokovic as number one because they would have hit the same number of points, and he has more points from slams, obviously, than Alcaraz from slams, Masters 1000, and ATP thousands, right? Because I don't think the fact that Alcaraz played more ATP thousands will no, it won't be enough to cover the three slams that Djokovic won. So basically, I think he needs to beat him by 501 points in Paris or the ATP finals. These are, I mean, both of these are some of Djokovic's most favorite events. For Alcaraz, probably not so much, although he barely has played there. Paris 2021, he lost to Hugo Gaston in that crazy match with the French crowd. Beat Sinner though. He did look good at that event, but ATP finals he hasn't played yet, so especially in Turin, it's probably not his favorite sort of conditions. Otherwise, for Djokovic, it's great, especially in this 2023 version of Novak, which is a lot more aggressive and serving incredibly. So yeah, I don't really like Carlos's chances. I think he really needed a big run in Basel to get closer, but we'll see. Without Nadal, Ruud can win a slam at Roland Garros, though. I don't think so. Like I think he will lose to Alcaraz every time. He will lose to Sinner every time. Rune, I know he has an excellent record against, but like once Rune, gets there, once Rune is less raw, I don't think he can win that either. I think a regular version of Zverev beats him too, like not the one that we got in the Roland Garros semis. Like a peak Zverev easily beats him too. You also have Medvedev right now, who seems to be like a bit of a contender on clay. And if he actually gets to the biggest stages, he gets to the semis or the final, I also don't think Ruud matches up well against him. I don't, both Ruud final runs were quite opportunistic to me at Roland Garros and at the US Open as well. I mean, he still deserves credit for it, obviously. 3 out of 5, right? Since the French until the next French, he made 3 out of the 5 slams. But if he doesn't make one again, I would not be shocked at all. I know Ruud has been a contender for the French because he was in the final twice, but like he actually hasn't been a contender really for any other big titles on clay. It's not like he's making a Rome final every year, or a Madrid final every year. And that's why I sort of don't think of him as a serious contender. Actually, has he actually made an ATP thousand final on clay? Not really, right? I mean, he's always in the semis to his credit, but or like at least once a year he's in the semis. If Novak doesn't make the final in Paris Bercy and Carlos wins it, then Carlos would actually enter the ATP finals as the leader. Yes. Now, would that be enough? I don't know. But of course, we're talking about a scenario where Novak doesn't make the final in Paris, kind of unlikely. And we're talking about a scenario where Alcaraz makes the final in Paris and wins it, which I can't say it's kind of unlikely, but it's not something that's just, right there. He would need to get through a lot of good players there. There's that variability of who gets Sinner, who gets Medvedev, which in Alcaraz's case, it seems like definitely Medvedev is the easier matchup. Carlos has no points to defend in Paris. I'm just talking about the race ranking, In the live rankings, it's 2,400 points for Djokovic, but that doesn't matter. I'm just talking about the race. It's 500. What do you drink on a night out if you don't like beer? I don't really go on nights out. Like, I don't go to pubs or bars because, well, they're expensive, and I also don't really like the atmosphere. I feel, you know, overcrowded. I don't know. Um, and yeah, I mostly drink like with some other friends at someone's home or something like that. So then, yeah, it's the spirits. And when it comes to beer, I like cider or like, summer's beer or whatever, like these beers with some sort of juice or whatever. I can drink that. So I'm fine for that. Basically, the less it tastes like beer, the better it is for me. Jane, thank you. $4 super sticker. We always appreciate the support from you and the other members. Schwarzman will win RG once Rafa is gone. If Rafa Nadal disappeared from the tour like 3 years ago and Diego Schwartzman was still there, and of course, he would have been, um, then he had that 2021 quarterfinal, right? And that 2020 semifinal, where he only lost to Rafa Nadal. But if Diego Schwartzman gets to the final that year and he plays Djokovic, and then the next year after that he also plays Djokovic, but in the semis, does he actually beat him? I guess that is the question, but yeah, I don't think so. Crispy bacon. Oh no, I forgot about that joke. Yeah, the Glasgow ITF, I really think you should go if there's Santian blocks. But that's probably today, right? Yeah, that's today, so I guess you haven't gone. But that would be a really good ITF second round, definitely. So pleased to wake up to find talking tennis on. Yeah, I'm always surprised that Jane is so early. Do you think that Turin is on Rublev's mind during the match? That's a good question from James. I don't think so. Basically, I know he can qualify with the quarterfinals, but well, actually, it depends because that's what I read in an email from a guy from the ATP. When you look at the live rankings website, they actually don't have it like that. But then again, the ATP in their official Pepperstone, ATP Live Race to Turin, they don't show you the qualification cut, presumably because it's really tough to calculate it. I heard earlier that he qualifies with a win, but yeah, I basically don't think it's a question at all because he's gonna get there anyway. Like it's not a matter of okay, if I don't do it now, I'm probably not gonna make it. He is over 1,000 points ahead of Rune, who currently holds the number 8 spot in the race to Turin. So yeah, I don't think this will be a thing for Rublev at all because it's just too much of a certainty that he will get there anyway. Like it would take the most ridiculous, set of outcomes for him not to get there. I honestly don't think it's like within the realm of possibility that he doesn't get there. It's just not possible that it's going to be 4,300 points. I know it is mathematically possible, but yeah, that scenario is just not happening. That's like really beyond 0.0000001. So yeah, I don't think that this will be on his mind. I think, deep down he knows he's qualified already. And he's known that probably since making the Shanghai final, essentially. Like that's more or less what got him there, even if he's still not there mathematically. He is quite frustrated though. He is making a few errors that potentially could have steered the game towards his hands if he didn't. Ooh, was really uncomfortable on the volley as well, but he does make it land into the um, right side of the court where Arnaldi was too far away from to catch it. So he will be 2 points away from the set, Rublev. 30 all. basically the second pressure moment that Arnaldi has faced in this match after the second game, where he was even low 40 down. That was a great forehand from Rublev, and I think he has just made it in. Both players were uncertain if it landed in, but that's a rocket inside out, inside out. Yeah, even on the replay, I mean, I honestly cannot tell you if it was in, but of course we have electronic line calling in Vienna, so we know that it clipped the line, and now Arnaldi will have to save a set point. It's a decent serve. The net court probably helps Arnaldi indeed. The return from Rublev clipped the net, but Arnaldi had a lot of time to catch up with it. Plus his forehand cross court, and Rublev can't make the pass. There's been a few of these already where like it seems like the approach shot or just a deep forehand from Arnaldi is very gettable for Rublev, but he cannot really get the timing right on these counters. And fantastic ace down the tee. That had so much weird spin on it as well. And game point for Arnaldi. I think Rublev really enjoyed that serve as well. That's what it seemed like from his reaction. And another good one down the tee. So Arnaldi's first serve comes in clutch, and he saves the set point. He wins the game 5-0. Who are you most looking forward to seeing at the Ismaning Challenger? There's been a fair few withdrawals, but I think off the top of my head, I'm gonna pull up the entry list in a second. But off the top of my head, it has to be Cressy. That's one of his favorite events on tour, and he should be great to watch on these carpet courts. Um, I wonder who else. I don't think I've seen Hissler live actually. So that would be another nice one. The other players that I'm looking at the list, I probably have watched live already. Otte also is great on in Ismaning. I think he won it 2 years ago. And yeah, that's more or less it, I think, in the main draw. I don't think I've seen Bellier live, but is he gonna be fun? I guess maybe the servant volleying on these cards. Of course, Zhuk in the qualies. I would love him to do well there, and he actually was in the semis last year, so also one of his favorite events. Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, the event is mostly exciting because of the surface, right? If you guys don't know, it's the only carpet court we have left on the Challenger Tour in Ismaning. A few years ago, there was still Taipei City, and then Ismaning and Eckental. There was this carpet double in Germany, but Eckental was actually discontinued last year, I think, already. I think last year was the first, 2022, I think, was the first year when Eckental wasn't held. Eckental was also the first challenger title of Sebi Korda, for example. So nice story there. But yeah, Eckental isn't held any longer, so it's the only carpet court left on the tour. It's like the fastest surface out there, and basically very short rallies, very short matches. I'm not sure if it's gonna be that enjoyable because of it, to watch it live. But I think it's certainly as a unique court. Also, the coloring, the orange color, is very unusual. So I think that's the main sort of incentive I have with this event. Also, Max Hans Reberg, the finalist from last year, I'm pretty sure he's getting a wild card. He's on the posters, so that's going to be exciting as well if he follows it up. He's been very dangerous whenever he gets a lower bouncing court with the flat ground strokes and a good first serve. Quentin Alice won Ismaning last year, but he's not in the field this year. Actually, has been scheduling himself pretty weird recently. But of course, in that exact time slot, he is gonna be in Paris, right? Or is he? Yeah, he's gonna be playing Paris qualifying. Yeah, he's a shoe-in for Turin, says John. Diego literally can't beat Djokovic. Yeah, he's had like one or two matches with Djokovic that were pretty close, right? Like not like with Nadal. He often made Nadal's life tough. Beat him in Rome, of course, But with Djokovic, there was Roland Garros five setter years back, and then the one of the Rome matches, yeah. But otherwise, recent years, yeah, they've been tough. Should the WTA follow the ATP structure of October events have a range of indoor tournaments leading up to the World Tour finals? I think the players wouldn't welcome it. Like, mostly the players are for shortening the season instead of making it even longer. So I think that would be fine. Basically, I think that what we have right now is fine for the WTA because the players like that sort of system. I think they even wanted to make the WTA finals, like there's been voices about making the WTA finals closer to Beijing, right? And that also has its merit. Like, personally, as a tennis fan, I want them to play 52 weeks a year. I mean, I don't mind the current system with, well, basically challengers going on until the end of November. Then you have a number of WTA 125s as well in December, which is good. And I just wish the ITFs that we have during Christmas were streamed. That's the only real wish I have for the calendar in terms of that. But for the players themselves, I think they would probably like something like the WTA players. It seems like they want that to stay as it is, you know. So I don't think they would like the extension of the season. If someone wants to, they can always play the WTA 125s after the World Tour finals, right? I mean, not everyone. Like Iga Świątek is not gonna play them, of course, but like if you're ranked about 50. Hüsler won an ATP event. Yeah, Sofia. Now he's now last year. Now he's ranked at like 170, but he should be good in Ismaning. Our Glinka for the first time, says Keen, versus Bellier. Yeah, who would have thought that it's Daniel Glinka who's going to be the only Estonian in the Ortisei quarters, right? And as John said, we will also have a watch along for Medvedev Dimitrov and some other stuff. So make sure to tune in for that. ATP Weekly as well. This ATP Weekly I'm gonna be doing from Germany if I find the time. But not from Bonn this time around. Although I think at the time of our Bonn camp, we did not have the ATP Weekly series yet. Anyway, Arnaldi might be in trouble again at 5-6, 15-30. Rublev cracking another forehand inside out. Definitely his best shot of the match so far. There was a brief moment when you thought that maybe Arnaldi would actually have a look at the Rublev serve at 5-all, but it was very quickly overturned by the Russian. Here, though, he had a real chance. Arnaldi with a pretty tentative second serve kicker to the Rublev backhand, that he mistimes it. Um, but yeah, this was definitely an opportunity. Still, again, 2 points away from the set. Arnaldi with a slice of luck, because he was in trouble after the Rublev return and just barely put the ball back into the baseline. But eventually he loses the point. Nice redirection there from Rublev. The backhand down the line forces out the error out of the Italian. So a second set point, the first one, of course, being in the previous game at the previous Arnaldi service game at 4-5. Now 5-6 down. And he finds an ace out wide. Great serve, over 200 kilometers an hour. Nothing that Rublev could have done about it. I think the previous set point was that decent serve and then he approaches the net, right? And Rublev can't find the pass. But there's going to be a third one as well. Now the +1 forehand from Arnaldi is a little stiff. He doesn't fully. He's not able to utilize his leg drive there and sort of just plays it standing up. Set point number 3. Goes for the same serve, but this time he misses it. Actually, quite wide. And now let's see what Rublev can do with the second serve. Will he try to step into his backhand again? Yes, he does. Puts some pressure on Arnaldi. The Italian is at the net, and he cannot get to that. Yeah, that was a very shaky point, honestly, from Arnaldi. He played that backhand down the line, sort of massaging the ball instead of driving through it, which still gave him a pretty decent idea in this point. Like, he went to the net, but it was maybe a little too late. Probably wasn't expecting to get this much positional situational advantage after this slower backhand down the line. And then he cannot quite cover the net. Tries to lunge for a backhand volley, and it just stays in the top of the net, basically almost the tape. So yeah, we have some stats. Unreturned serves, lots of them from Rublev, 16 out of 33. So almost 50% of Rublev's serves aren't put back into play, which certainly is hurting Arnaldi quite well because of the quite a lot because of the baseline. He actually has been the stronger player for the most part, I would say. But yeah, it's Rublev who created more opportunities. It's Rublev who puts in a lot of his first serves. It's Rublev's serves that don't come back over the net a lot of the time. 83% of first serve points won for the Russian. Certainly a stronger serving performance than Arnaldi's so far. And he did generate more opportunities. He saved the only one against him. And he eventually managed to make Arnaldi crack. We get a replay of that set point again. Yeah, if Arnaldi was at the net just a little bit fast, a little bit quicker, he probably could have easily won that point. But then he was forced to play this sort of unconventional backhand half volley, and yeah, just had to lunge for this backhand one. 48 minutes and 7-5 Andrey Rublev. So pretty much what we expected, right? A tight battle, a good match, but then boom. But then he finally does it. We're in Germany, in Ismaning. This is a small village near Munich. So I'm basically gonna be staying in Munich and going to Ismaning for the event, since it's literally, like, I don't know, 5 kilometers or whatever. Is Poulet fun to watch? Depends on your preferences. I personally don't think so. I kind of just don't like these players who are like full on defense and full on consistency and try to tackle you on like that. I don't mind good defense, but if it's sort of backed up by anything else, Poulain is, yeah, just really solid. But it seems like he was underranked for most of his career because he honestly wasn't just playing full seasons, even, right? And he's one of these guys who like played, I don't know, 30 matches a year, basically. I'm not sure what the reason was. Maybe it was a Jules Marie type of deal, which meant that he just didn't really have the money, or like didn't think that it was worth it for him to play full seasons. But in 2021 he had 28 matches, for example, 25 in 2022. Yeah, so basically he just wasn't ever really playing a full season, and now he's finally doing that. He has like, what, 70 something this year. Yeah, I think like 70 something this year, and 79, and today now playing his 80th. So you can see that the ranking improved a lot. Obviously, back in the day, until like 2017, this was directed. I mean, this was due to his college career, right? But even after his college career, he was still not playing a full season like ever. So finally doing that and finally improving his ranking. Should be getting a Dan Evans update. Okay. Forgot to say when he's fully recovered, Draper can beat the likes of Shot and Fuse. Yeah, sure. I don't think that's wrong. Yeah. The players that can get there the fastest are probably him, Fields, Shelton. Yeah. I'm looking at the ranking list, and that's basically it in terms of like the next guys who could join sort of the pantheon. I think of Alcaraz, Rune, Sinner. Well, Sinner, of course, is like by now he's like somewhat significantly older than these, but well, I guess not much older than Draper. Rublev with another express hold to begin set two, and we are already in the second game with Arnaldi serving. A little sloppy here on the plus one, did not actually make that one two more steps to run around his backhand here, Arnaldi. Lots of pace in this baseline exchange now. Arnaldi sort of changes it with the loopier forehand and actually gets the reward as well. Rublev trying to go for that open backhand line. It's a shot that would have won him the point if it went in, but it was miles off. But yeah, both guys definitely like their chances in these more rapid baseline rallies. So whoever tries to sort of throw the other one off first will often get the break, I think. Get the break, not in tennis terms, but like get the point, get the advantage. Arnaldi tries to serve and volley, but that return from Rublev is very short and makes it so uncomfortable for him. Again, he was trying to go for that double hander half volley, which doesn't look like the most convenient shot in the world, honestly. But the forehand dropper from Arnaldi, that's a very similar one to the one that won him the second game of the match, the first one on his serve. This time he does not say sorry to Rublev, and rightfully so, because again, it was just a great shot. Ooh, it's massive. Absolutely massive from Rublev. That forehand on the run down the line. He still had to finish it off then on the next strike, but that he does just with excellent precision. But the previous shot was definitely the highlight. Lots of side spin on that Arnaldi slice, and Rublev just runs straight into it down the line and instantly puts Arnaldi on the defense. He might have his chances here to break as well with that second serve on deuce. But yeah, he messed up that production of the backhand. Sort of tore his motion in half. And we have a game point for Arnaldi as we are nearing the 1 hour mark, 57 minutes in fact. Rublev unleashes on the forehand though. His drive volley wasn't the best, but that's some nice feeling on the volley and even the improvisation in terms of the direction there. I didn't really like how he was moving inside the court, forward to the net here. The transition game of Rublev, obviously not his strong suit, but the volley itself was class. Ooh, Bit of a nightmare +1 forehand from Arnaldi as well, and we have another game point. I think the second one in this game, right? And this is, of course, potentially something that could more or less end the match if Rublev can keep holding like he has been so far in this match, which for the most part it's been like express games. And as we saw in the stats after set one, Rublev was basically at about 48% of unreturned serves. Second serve from Arnaldi. Will Rublev try to attack it? He does. He lands it as well. There's a great counter from Arnaldi, and he will be in front on the point now. Not anymore though. Yes, he's not. He attempts to hit it winner. It's not close, but that was a wild point. Rublev just barely making that backhand return down the line. Arnaldi with a great counter. Seems like he's now in control, but then Rublev's slice pass is actually quite uncomfortable down the line. Arnaldi barely catches it. Rublev lobs him, and the tweener attempt is not even close. So 7-5 to love Andrey Rublev, and with the way he has been serving in this match, you gotta like the position that he's in here. Set and a break up, and sometimes maybe a set and a break up might not be that much of a deal, especially if there's a match that you have plenty of breaks in. But here it seems like a very real advantage. Fantastic backhand up the line from Arnaldi though. Big exhale from Rublev after seeing that shot, but yeah, it was pretty stunning. But we'll see if he can just link a few points together here. Solid from Rublev, great first serve. Doesn't plan to serve and volley, but he sees that the return is going to be very weak, so he just goes forward. Easy drive volley finish. Again, the serving is just setting him up for so many free points. He goes at the body of Arnaldi. Arnaldi tries to return it, sort of just, yeah. Actually, he did that. Yeah, he still did that with his right hand. Okay, but that was just a, he just had his racket there and sort of allowed allowed the ball to do like allowed the racket to contact the ball, and then we'll see what happens, Arnaldi. And Rublev just ends up hitting another drive volley. So 2 drive volley winners in a row. How rare is that? And 40-15 Rublev, and we are really, really quickly going towards a 2-set victory for the Russian if he can clinch that game now. Wonderful pickup as well after a big return from Arnaldi. And again, the inside-out forehand is just too good. The combination of going cross-court and then quickly turning into that inside-out, just way too much. And 7-5 free love. I think that's been like an hour and 2 minutes. So we might not be here for that much longer. Being close to qualifying for ATP finals, Andrey Rublev said this: the door is open, but I'm not inside the room. Okay. I somehow don't feel like it's a real quote, although it's Andrey Rublev. So, if he actually said that, it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, that's what the ATP said, that he qualifies. The live rankings website doesn't actually believe in it because they say that the qualification cut would still be higher. I honestly can't tell you what's right. So anyway, of course, Andrei Rublev is in the ATP finals. It's just a matter of a couple of days, probably. I'm gonna see if the ATP mentioned it on like their website anywhere. or something like that. But I heard they are actually often sort of waiting with these announcements. So it's Vienna day 4, right? Yeah. Yeah, so for example, in the daily media notes for Vienna, it is mentioned that Rublev will qualify for the Nito ATP finals if he beats Arnaldi. So basically, yes, the ATP officially says that Rublev will qualify. The live rankings website does not agree, but we gotta trust the official sources, right? I think that's what we gotta do here. So yeah, Rublev is just a couple of games away from ATP Finals qualification for the fourth straight year as well, which again shows the sort of consistency that he has been able to produce in recent years, easily staying among the top 10, among the top 8, even if number 5, the number 5 ranking is his best right now. So basically easily staying between the 5 and 8 spots. Maybe could have had another look at Arnaldi here with the backhand return down the line. This is a shot that's sort of been up and down for him here. Arnaldi on the outside, very often a kicker to Rublev's backhand. And I guess I understand why he's going for it, because a lot of the time Rublev will miss it. Although on one of the most crucial points of the match 2 games ago, he actually didn't. And on the deuce side, he also goes for the same serve, second serve kick to the Rublev backhand, and gives him the point again. This second serve was a lot riskier though. The same direction, but it wasn't that much of a kicker, and he does get the reward as well for really throwing it out there. Picks off an easy put away volley. Yeah, first serve just not going in at all this game for Arnaldi, but maybe it's not gonna matter. He's still 40-30 up despite hitting a double fault. This one is gonna be great from Arnaldi, yeah. No, no, no. I don't think you're right, Rublev. Rublev is trying to claim that there was just one bounce. It wouldn't change anything anyway. Like Arnaldi still would have had an easy volley to finish it off, but I think it was clearly 2 bounces before he got to this half volley from Arnaldi. This time the half volley is like a more usual one hand deal from the Italian. No, I think it was clearly 2 bounces, but we'll see. Maybe this replay will clarify it. I think it was 2. Okay, now maybe this replay. Yeah, it's 2 bounces for sure. Rublev is wrong there. Again, it wouldn't really change anything. I mean, Arnaldi still finishes off this point 99% of the time, even if it's not stopped. But yeah, I don't think Rublev was right. I don't think he got there. Which maybe again shows you that in some cases we really do have to give players the benefit of the doubt, because Rublev knew that he lost the point anyway. like regardless of it if it was double bounce or not, and still argued for it, right? Even though he wasn't right. So it's really possible to get to the ball and not know whether you had it in time or not, which in many cases, we just instantly accuse players of trying to cheat or like not um yeah, just like not acknowledging the fact that there was a double bounce and sort of letting the umpire just decide it, even though they know they should have lost the point. But only in obvious cases we should be jumping at players. I feel like obvious cases like Rune Serundolo, for example, right? Roland Garros this year, where it was like a whoa. Arnaldi goes for a well. The net court surprises Arnaldi, and he has to get out of the ball's way very quickly. He actually does so, then tries to play a tweener, but the ball was out anyway. Although it was really close, they actually shot the close call on the screen. But yeah, Rune Serundolo this year at Roland Garros, it was like this whole controversy when the ball bounces twice on Holger's side of the net. It's like a very obvious, long distance sort of thing. It wasn't at the net as well. It was like a baseline shot, well, 2 meters behind the baseline shot, and then Serundolo sort of says something in the middle of the point because he had an easy put away smash, but he said something to an umpire, to the umpire. He said something about that double bounce and then proceeded to put the ball away. And he actually lost the point because of hindrance, because you cannot speak during the point, which was the right call from the umpire. And, Serundolo shouldn't have been talking while the point was going on. But in a case of a double bounce that was this obvious, I cannot really blame him because he thought that the point was over. I mean, everyone on the whole planet saw that double bounce, including Holger Rune. It was only the umpire that missed it. But anyway, eventually Holger Rune ended up winning that match over Franz Serundolo and losing in the quarters to Gasper Ruud, of course. But yeah, unless it's like that obvious, then we cannot really blame the players, I think. At least, not assume that they had wrong intentions. I've certainly had this situation like once or twice where I got to a ball and I had no idea whether I had it before the double bounce or not. Anyway, 7-5-4-1. Rublev cruising towards the win, probably. Oh, so it's actually the quote. The quote is actually real. Yeah, I thought that it's something that Andrey Rublev might have said. It's only really Andrey Rublev that could say something like that. It's very his style. Arnaldi earlier this match, once chasing a ball, he actually had what? No, wait. Yeah, basically did splits while chasing the ball, and I see a tweet on my timeline that says Matteo Simon Biles Arnaldi. Yeah, his flexibility, defensive movement, definitely also parts of his game that are the most impressive. That's actually how he sort of, was. That's how he emerged on the tour. That's how he went up the rankings at first, slowly developing the other weapons, the more attacking mindset. And something that I definitely enjoyed about Arnaldi's game for a while was that he was always willing to try, He wasn't very comfortable playing offense at first. He was definitely misfiring quite a lot, but he knew that in the long run he kind of needs to do that, and just kept trying. Wasn't afraid to make the same mistake twice, if you may. That was one of the fastest shots I've seen, I think. I think it was out though. Yeah, it was. Rublev thought that he was in control of the point, like with this great return, and like he has this 1-2 punch, but Arnaldi just guesses that he's gonna play it to his forehand side, and he just completely blasts his forehand pass attempt, but it was actually behind, well, like maybe a half a meter behind the baseline, I would guess. But it was astonishing if it went in. Like, it was lightning fast. The next point from Arnaldi is pretty good though. Goes to the net, finishes it off, even though the pass from Rublev was quite decent as well. Really forced him to stretch on the backhand volley. But we are still, 2 points away from the match being over with 30 all at 1-4. Yeah, and the Rublev forehand takes over here. Actually, maybe the backhand set him up for it as well with the cross court and then blasting his forehand in the other corner. And we are at breakpoint up for Rublev here. 7-5, 4-1. Basically game over if he gets it. First serve from Arnaldi isn't gonna land in. There's lots of painting lines here in this point so far. Started from Rublev, then it was Arnaldi. I think the volley is in, yeah. Arnaldi is gonna this time, I think, rightfully apologize. He clearly realizes that he had no control over this volley, but that was a great point. First Arnaldi hitting a line, then Rublev trying responding with the same, also a very fast forehand counter. Eventually, it ends up being a lob over Rublev's head. He tries to put it back inside the court with a run around forehand, but Arnaldi cleans up the volley, even though, yeah, the control over it could have been a little better, and that's what he was acknowledging when saying sorry. Now Arnaldi puts Rublev on the defense here, but Rublev survives and should have a forehand opening here. He does, and then inside out, but I think this time he missed it. Yeah, that was a shot that he's made a few times here already, usually just winning the point with it right away. There was this one really important point in the opening set when it just clipped the line, but this one was a little bit overhit. So Arnaldi staying alive, not going down without a fight, has a game point here to get himself back to 2-4. Yeah, Rublev started going cross court out of these kick second serves to his backhand, and that has been working out extremely well for him. He's usually able to put some pressure on Arnaldi right away. He does lose this point though, so it's 7-5 to 4-2, but he's not making the errors. He's not donating the points to Arnaldi anymore in that manner. So yeah, again the serve setting up Rublev for an easy cleanup. Backhand +1 cross court. Arnaldi definitely an underrated server, and his first delivery is really strong. But the way that Rublev has been serving in this match, it's been like one of the main aspects of why he's dominating it. As I'm talking about it, though, Arnaldi blasts this return down the line of the backhand side. That's really good as well. Almost makes this lob though. But yeah, shorter points on the Rublev serve so far have been, I think, very dominant for the Russian. And I actually wonder if we can get stats on that. What's the stats package that the ATP uses for Vienna? Yeah, I think we can get that. Yeah, 27-9 on the 0-4 shots. Actually, even the long rallies on the Rublev serve have been dominated by the Russian. It's much closer though on Arnaldi's serve. But yeah, basically 9 winners on the first 4 shots from Rublev in the 0-4 shot rallies on his own serve. So lots of these points are finishing like that with a +1 forehand winner, +1 backhand winner, maybe a 1-2 punch there somewhere. 10 errors he forced like that from Arnaldi too. Game point Rublev 4-5-2. Ooh, that's a net cord. That's not gonna help him. This could have been a very similar point to all of these previous ones, with Rublev just finding an inside-out forehand winner, but the ball clips the net and it sets Arnaldi up for an easy forehand kill. So we are at deuce, probably like the second Rublev service game in this match that's been close. Lots of drive volleys as well right after the serve. This one is not going to be a winner, but it does force an error out of Arnaldi. So yeah, probably the main takeaway so far has been that serving prowess of Rublev today. And here he goes for something unconventional. Instead of the usual inside out forehand on the +1 shot, he actually tries a drop shot. And no, that's not going to be good. But yeah, there's this definitely a degree of unpredictability right now with Rublev the last couple of points. He starts off the next one after that failed drop shot. He actually starts the next one with a baseline volley. He didn't think he was gonna get away from it in time to play usual ground stroke, and he actually wins the point as well. But yeah, now we're back to the usual Andrey Rublev that we know and love or loathe, and and he just gets a good serve in again down the tee. I think his percentages this today must be very very high, and he just cracks the forehand cross court again, and it's Arnaldi gets a racket on it, so it's probably not a winner, but it's technically a winner. But yeah, very dominant in the short rallies on his own serve today, Rublev, and that's partially due to his serving, of course. 82% of points won on first serve. Also, a much higher percentage of them that he got in, comparing to Arnaldi, 68-51. And yeah, most of his service games have been rather easy. So he's just one game away now from qualifying for the ATP finals. Hello, Zoltan. Yeah, Zoltan is a real friend of the show. He exists. He knows he's a friend of the show as well, which puts him just next to Aziz Dugas. Is Aziz Dugas playing this week, John? I'm pretty sure you should know that, right? As the biggest fan of his right now. Is he playing another ITF in Monastir? Yes, he is. Absolutely. I mean, what am I even asking about? I mean, obviously, Aziz Dugas is playing another ITF in Monastir. Actually, today he's gonna play against Alexander Kotzen from the US. I think that's a college player, but I would have to check that actually. It's sort of think that it might be, but I might be wrong on that too. Is he a college player? Oh, I guess he's already finished college. Columbia. Yeah, but he did play college. Well, it makes sense that, otherwise he wouldn't be in Tunisia in October if he was still playing college. But yeah, that's who Aziz Dugas is playing today. In the first round, he actually lost a set against David Saye, a 19-year-old American I'm not too familiar with. Anyway, super quick hold from Arnaldi, and we are nearing towards the end of the match as Rublev will now try to serve for it. If he doesn't, of course, we might be in here for a while longer. Bornagoyo and Tommy Paul also have started already in Vienna. The first point of the game goes to Rublev. Another one that's really set up for him with the serve. This one wasn't a 0-4 shot rally, but yeah, it was just basically one that the serve won it for him. Just needed a couple more shots to get there. And he's actually fairly low, so I must have missed the first point of this game. Arnaldi will make this forehand error here with a bit of an opening to go inside in and potentially put some pressure on Rublev, but he can't manage that, and we have 3 match points for the Russian. Yes, and just like he played it, he fires a great serve. He won the match with it, and he also wins the last point with it. So great performance from Rublev. I think there were a few uncharacteristic timing errors in the opening set, but from that point onwards, he was pretty much spotless, and the serving was fantastic throughout. One break point that Arnaldi had, I think it was a first serve that Rublev put in there, and it didn't. Arnaldi had a play on it, but like didn't make it back over the net. That was the only break point, and yeah, generally speaking, the whole match, Rublev just served really, really well. So it's very possible if the ATP is right, and I think we have to assume that they are, that Andrey Rublev has just qualified for the ATP finals. I think that that's how we have to think about that. Assume that the official version is right. And what else? Andrey Rublev is, of course, in the Vienna quarterfinals. That's not the end of his event, where he's going to play Alexander Zverev. So, a very exciting matchup coming up. Previously, this hasn't been a great rivalry for Rublev. Zverev is 5-2 up in this head-to-head, but he used to be 5-0, and it seemed like he might never lose to Rublev. But then he lost to him twice. So yeah, and in the second set, a lot of the Rublev serves were coming back in when we look at the stats for the whole match. Uh, but it didn't really matter because he was still setting up for plenty of short points. This year Rublev beats Zverev twice finally. But this year's Zverev not exactly at his strongest at the beginning of the season, or like when they played, which was Dubai and Bostad. Maybe now it's going to be different. Who knows? I think for me, it's like a 50-50-ish match. We'll see what the odds are on that, but certainly going to be an exciting matchup. What do you think of Marozsan's recent run in Shanghai? Oh, yes. Do you think the performance can establish him as a stable top 100 player in the coming years? Yeah, I mean, if he's doing that on hard courts, sure. He never really seemed like a guy who will struggle too much on quicker conditions, given how fast he plays. And um, he might not be able to use his trademark drop shot, but yeah, it just always seemed like even though he has 90% of his matches in his career on clay, he will be better in other conditions too. And yeah, I think he will be getting enough points. He's not gonna be consistent, of course. I think we're already seeing that. But if he can just keep racking up, I don't know, a few runs like this every year, I like his chances to stay there, and hopefully he does, because he can beat anyone on his day. So that's the most exciting type of player, I think, where you're entering the first round and you're not seeing, I don't know, Rublev Marozsan, and you're like, okay, no chance for Marozsan. Marozsan, I never write off against anyone. So I like that. Oh, so Dugas, you say John will be in Calgary and Drummondville, I guess, right? That's the Canadian Challenger double duo that's incoming. Anyway, I think that's gonna be it then. Rublev Zverev quarterfinal. You guys are also gonna have a stream from Dimitrov Medvedev very soon, so tune in for that. I think we got what we wanted out of Arnaldi Rublev. Very good match. Rublev serving really on top of the game there, on top of his game there, and it was just a little too much for the Italian, but it was a competitive, decent showing. I'm certainly not too displeased with what Arnaldi presented today. So yeah, you know the drill, and tune in for Medvedev Dimitrov.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Have on chauffeur. Shisha.
You've been to the French Open final. Your breakthrough, at least standout result at the beginning of your career, was on grass against Venus. You've been very solid on the hard courts. Is there a slam in particular that you go, I think that's, if I'm going to get one, the first one might come here, there, or where?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everyone, I'm like, I think this is the first one, so I don't know. I mean, obviously now going to the French, I do have a lot of confidence on this surface, but I'm not really thinking about that. I feel like, you know, in the past I was, and it gave me some, like, defeats that I feel like I shouldn't have lost, maybe more so my head. So going in now, I mean, I feel like, you know, everyone could be the one, but I think I have to just take it a match at a time and just feel it out and enjoy it. I think when you focus too much on the destination, you don't enjoy the journey there. So now I want to focus more on the journey, and you know, if the destination gets there, that's great.